or even thinking about it, you are at the right place. SAT scores are widely accepted across US, Canada, Singapore, Australia, and even top global campuses and in India. A strong SAT score can seriously enhance and upgrade your admission and also scholarship chances. Now, today's session is all about helping you study smarter, avoid common traps, and understand what really moves your math score. So get ready to take notes, ask questions, and interact. Before we start off with the session, a very quick introduction about EZScholar. So we at EZScholar help students to get into top universities in the US, Canada, Singapore, Australia, Europe, and even some of the private universities in India. We help students with SAT preparation, research paper guidance, and also admissions counseling and profile building. Here is a quick introduction to our team. So EZScholar is founded by Mr. Vivek Bhandari that you see right to your screen on the presentation. So he is the founder and also the chief mentor at EZScholar. In terms of his qualification, he holds a BTech from IIT Delhi and an MBA from IIM Calcutta. To the left of him is Mr. Amit Bhandari, who is the lead instructor. In fact, he is the head curriculum and also the lead instructor for math. And in terms of qualification, he holds a BTech from IIT-BHU and an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. Then we have Mr. Ashik Hadge, who is the lead instructor for English. He's an American TESOL certified ESL trainer. Together, Amit and Ashay have taught more than, I would say, thousands of students achieve their best score, perfect math and English score on the SAT. And myself, Abhishek Sinha, I'm the head of relationship management at EZScholar. So with this, I would like to invite my colleague and the test prep head, Amit, to take you further through his presentation. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you everyone for being here. Now, before we begin, let's just take a step back. We, of course, want to score well on SAT, but let's take a step back and understand what the test is about. Now, imagine for a moment that you are a top American university and you get applications from bright students, not just from all over the US, but actually from all parts of the world. And these students come from a very wide range of educational backgrounds. Just in India, we have so many different school and school boards. You can imagine how complex the situation will be at a global level. So as a university admissions committee, how do I decide which are the students who are best suited for my program? Who are the students that actually can deal with the academic rigor of my program as well? And this is where a test comes in, a common test which all students have to take, which measures their mathematical and reasoning aptitude. And this common test helps assess students on a common measure for across the board. It doesn't matter with which part of the world you are from, what educational background you have. This test does a pretty good job of figuring out where you stand vis-a-vis your compatriots, and therefore whether you are the right fit for a particular university or not. Now, SAT is scored out of a total of 1600 marks. My colleague Abhishek covered that already. This means 800 marks for math and 800 marks for English. And SAT scores are one of the criteria which are now taken up or considered by most of the top American, Canadian, and even an increasing number of Indian universities, not just for admissions, but also scholarships. So here is a list of some of the top colleges that accept SAT. So if you're looking at the US, all the Ivy Leagues require you to submit the SAT score. Columbia still has it as an optional. Stanford, MIT, Caltech, look at any top American university, the SAT score is mandatory. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many of these universities had gone test optional. And what they realize is that the SAT score is a very good predictor of the student's academic performance and ability to deal with the coursework that they will have to go through. And which is why in the last 2 or 3 years, all of them have reintroduced the exam. A large number of Canadian universities and an increasing number of Indian private universities also require you to submit the SAT score. So if you're So SAT is important for you, not just for applying to US universities, but also if you want to apply to top universities in multiple parts of the world. And that is what makes the test important. Now, SAT is scored out of a total of 1,600 marks. And on an average, approximately 2% of the students achieve a score of 1,500 plus. In the last 12 months, 25% of our students achieved a 1,500 plus score. Another 8% students score between 1,400 to 1,490. Last year, in the last 12 months, 31% of our students have scored between 1,400 to 1,490. So on the whole, about 56% of our students have scored over 1,400 in the last 12 months versus about 10% in the larger population. So we do take SAT training very seriously, and we have put together a huge curriculum which helps students improve their scores significantly over time. So how is the test structured? I already mentioned it has two parts, a math part and an English part. Now, the math part is divided into two modules of 27 questions each, and you have to answer each module in 32 minutes. Likewise, the math section is divided into two parts of 22 questions each, and you have approximately 35 minutes for the modules. So what it means is you have approximately 75 seconds for each English questions and approximately 90 seconds for each question in math. So that is the first challenge. We will look at it in some time. The second important thing to notice that SAT is an adaptive test. So what it means is when you appear for the SAT, the first English section will be common to all students. The second section will depend upon how well you have done in section 1. So supposing a student gets all 27 questions right, she is going to get a more difficult section 2. Likewise, if a student has made many mistakes in section 1, let's say the student got 18 or 19 questions right on 27, the section 2 is going to be easier. So of course, the student who made more mistakes in section 1, her score is also likely to be lower as well. And the same thing applies for math as well. So the first section, which is module 1 in math, will be common for everyone. And the second section is going to be adaptive. So if you get all your questions right, which I hope you all guys will, you will get a very difficult section 2, and not a very difficult, more difficult section 2. And if you are looking for a score of 750, 770, 800, you have to do well in both the sections, and especially well in section 1. So there are a couple of things we can see here immediately. The first is that time management is a very crucial skill in SAT. In the English section, I have approximately 75 seconds to answer each question. In the math section, I have roughly 90 seconds to answer each question. So it is very important that one, I know how to solve questions quickly. Second, if there is a question that I do not understand, I should be willing to, not willing to, I should immediately drop that question, mark it for review, complete that entire section and come back to it if I have the time. So planning your time strategically is a very important part of taking the SAT test. And I think this is one challenge. I mean, when we put students through our program, we have them attempt multiple mock tests and the concept of time management much better. Now, I will briefly cover the curriculum of the English part. We will not dwell upon it in too much detail. The English section is divided into 4 broad sections: craft and structure, which basically includes meanings of words, the message that may come from a particular passage, or connection between two different passages. Information and ideas requires us to understand what is the central idea of a passage that has been provided. We also have to read through a passage which may be full of a lot of data or which may have a graphical element or a table and try to understand what is being conveyed over there. Standard English conventions is mostly punctuation, knowing where to put full stops, commas, dashes and dots. And finally, we have expression of ideas, which includes things like rhetorical synthesis, where you are provided a series of statements and from which you then have to draw out a gist. Now, the challenge here is that each English question is a short passage of maybe 120, 150 or 200 words. In itself, that's not very large. But if you have to read 150 words 27 times in section 1 and 27 times in section 2, very often students find that they are unable to complete it. So reading speed is one of the things that you should work on during your SAT prep. Also, you have to understand what are the things that you should look for when you are reading a passage. What are the kind of clues that are there in the question or which are there in the language of the passage, which will give you an idea of what the answer is going to be like. Now, let's move on to the math section. Math section is divided into 4 broad parts: algebra, which includes topics like linear equations, linear functions, system of equations, and linear inequalities. Advanced math, this includes things like equivalent expressions, non-linear equations, which include exponential functions, quadratic functions, and parabolas, and so on. Both of these sections contribute about 35% of the test. So 13 to 15 questions. Now, we have already seen that SAT has 22 questions in math multiplied by 2 because there are 2 sections. So out of these 44 questions, approximately 29 to 30 questions are going to be from these 2 sections. The other 2 topics have a relatively smaller weightage, but a good understanding of these topics is essential if you have to do well in math. So problem solving includes basics such as ratio and proportion, percentages, but it also includes things like data analysis, standard deviation, and so on. The second part is geometry and trigonometry. Again, not a whole lot of questions, but questions from topics such as triangles, trigonometry, volume of solid figures, and so on. So if you're looking at scoring well, if you're looking at doing, let's say, a 750 kind of a score, you have to do well in all the 4 sections. 1, 2, a good understanding of basics such as percentages, etc., is anyway needed for doing well in the section overall. So let's move on. What are the kind of questions that I can expect in the test? So there are 2 varieties of questions. The first is multiple choice questions. You have a question that has been provided, and we have given an example at the bottom over here. And you have to choose the right option from these 4 options that have been provided. Now, the SAT test is administered on an app called Blue Book app, and the training platform that we have created very closely mirrors that app. So when you appear for our mock tests or exercises, you will have a very clear idea of what a question is going to look like and where do you have to click to choose a particular option. The second variety that you have is called a student-produced response. So in these questions, you are not provided any choices. You have to calculate the answer and you have to enter the numerical answer in the space which has been provided. About 75% of the questions are multiple choice. About 25% of the questions are student-produced responses. Now, the important thing about the SPR questions is that you have to be very precise about how you enter the answer correctly. So supposing I have to, supposing the question is that question's answer comes out as 2/3. So 2/3 is a correct way to put in the answer. 0.6667 or 0.667 is also correct. But if you write 0.67 as a rounded off figure, that will not get you the credit. So there are 2 things that we insist all students who prep with us do. 1, they should download the Blue Book app and read and internalize the instructions that have been provided well before the test. In fact, I would say if you're appearing for the test 3 months down the line, you should already download the Blue Book app and read the instructions today. 0.67 is not the kind of mistake you want to make. You understand the question, you understand the concept, you solved it correctly, but you lost marks because you could not you did not enter the answer in the correct format. So that is the worst possible way to lose marks. And this is something we ensure that students don't do during their prep. Now, what are some of the common strategies that you can follow to improve your score in SAT? The first part is you have to pace yourself. I mentioned in the beginning that you have approximately 90 seconds to answer a question. So let's say that you read a question, you are not sure how to solve it or you have not understood it. You don't think it can be solved in 90 seconds. The best thing to do in such a case is mark that question. This is a facility that is provided in the Blue Book app as well as on our testing platform. Choose some random option in that because there are no penalties for guessing incorrectly on SAT. So mark a random option, but also mark that question for review and then move on and complete rest of the test. So for example, if you spend 3 minutes on a single question, even if you get it right, chances are that by the time the section ends, you will be running out of time and you may not be able to attempt the last 2 or 3 questions properly because of that. So it is very important, if there is something you haven't understood, mark it, move on, and come back to it if you have the time. Utilize the 35 minutes that have been provided. So we often find that many students and those who are especially bright at math are able to complete the test in less than 35 minutes. And what we suggest in such cases is that if there is a question about which you have a doubt and which you had marked earlier, revisit that question. If you have a couple of minutes, re-examine that question and see if there is something you want to change. If you have extra time, do not spend it on analyzing questions that you don't have any doubts about. Chances are there you might change your option and you might convert the right answer into the wrong answer. Only review those questions where you have a doubt. The other part is to use alternate strategies. So there is a saying that there is more than one way to skin a cat, and something similar applies over here. There are multiple ways of solving a problem. I have been given 2 algebraic equations. I have to find their solution. I can solve it algebraically using paper. I can also type it out on Desmos, which is the graphing calculator that the College Board provides along with the testing app. Once I type it on the graphing calculator, I can very easily find the correct answer. So there are multiple ways of solving a problem. And one of those is elimination. So let me take an example. Let me take a very quick example. Let's say that this is the figure I have been provided and I have been given 4 options and I have been asked what could be a possible equation of this graph that has been provided. Now I know it's a straight line, so equation has to be y is equal to mx plus c. So if I have an equation where you have an x square or an x cube, I can eliminate that straight away. Second, I can see that as we move from left to right, the graph is going up, which means m has to be positive. So if any of the options has given m as a negative, I can also eliminate that. Likewise, the y-intercept is positive, which means c is also positive. So in many cases, it is possible to sometimes eliminate 2 or even 3 of the incorrect options in this manner. And therefore, you don't actually have to solve a problem to arrive at the right answer. Sometimes if you can just eliminate the options which are incorrect, you will be able to get to the right place where you are looking for. Okay. So when is the exam going to be held? SAT is held multiple times a year. So in this cycle, there is one exam which will be held in early December. But the dates which you are more interested in are the 2026 dates. So March, May, and June, we already know the dates on which the test will be held. It is typically held on the first Saturday of the month at 8 a.m. in the morning, first and sometimes the second. So SAT, the March, May, and June dates are already here. And on the second side, we have the anticipated dates, there are 5 more tests which will happen from August to December. So this allows students to plan to appear for the test which will be the best suited for them, given the preparation time they have and given their other academic commitments. So supposing if you have your final exams coming up in March, then the date of May is going to be more preferable for you. Likewise, if you have an exam in October, then perhaps November or September is a better time for you to appear for the test. So the multiple dates give us that flexibility. And the second question is, of course, that when should you appear for SAT? Now, here I would say that that depends upon where you are today. So if today, November 2025, you are in grade 10, then by April of next year, you would have completed the 10th grade. And ideally, your first attempt should be in August or September of 2026. Second or third attempt can come later. If you are in grade 11 as of now, then your first attempt ideally should be in March, May, or June, first half of 2026. And your second and subsequent attempts can be in August 2026 or beyond. Now, you will notice that I said first, second, and third attempt. Why did I say that? Now, the thing with SAT is that you don't have, it is not like a board exam. It is not that you appear for SAT once and that is the score that you will have forever. You can appear for SAT as many times as you wish if if you want to improve your score. And you only have to report your best scores to the universities. That is the first part. The second part is that SAT uses a concept called super score. So let's take an example. Let's say a student appears for SAT. She scores 615 English and 715 math. So she has done very well in math. Now I think the question for her is, okay, I can do better in English, but so she appears again. This time she scores 715 English and 713 math. Now, the super score means that when you're reporting your results to the universities, you can take your best sectional score across all attempts and report that. So this student can take 750 math score from test 1, 750 English score from test 2, and her super score is 1500 out of 1600, putting her in the top tier of applicants. So, which is why in our experience, most students appear for SAT more than once. Now, how do we help you prepare for SAT? We use a classroom program, which is called the Achievers Plan. As a part of this program, we have 36 hours of live lectures, 18 hours for English and 18 hours for math. In addition to these lectures, we also have 12 hours of doubt-solving sessions. So we have divided the SAT curriculum into 11 topics for English and 11 topics for math. So let's say that you start today, week 1, week 2, week 3, you have classes for English and classes for math. Every fourth session is going to be a session for solving doubts and difficulties. So if you have any difficulties in the 3 topics that have been covered, they will be covered in the doubt solving session. And if you have any other difficulties and doubts, feel free to bring them here. We have a digital platform that we use to train students for SAT. And this digital platform has 10 mock tests. So over time, you will be pretty well versed with the structure of the test, the kind of questions you can get, and also the time management skills you need to develop. There are 3 sectional exercises each for every topic in English and every topic in math, which gives us a total of 66 sectional tests. We also have our own proprietary curriculum that we have developed, theory as well as examples and practice that we will share with all our students. During the program, we have 2 parent-teacher meetings with the instructors, student, and the parents to gauge the progress of the student and also to help figure out what will be the best way to go forward for this particular student. In addition to the classes, we also organize proctored mock tests on the last Saturday of every month. So during this course, you will appear for 3 mock tests, and there will be a detailed analysis that you will get for each of these. And in addition, of course, you get access to all the sessions for which we record. And if you miss out a session or you want to review something, you always can watch the recording. The Excel plan is a one-on-one program. And this is a program, this is for students who are looking for more specific and a more customized preparation. This includes 42 hours of classes, similar mock tests and strategy sessions. And both these programs also provide support for future sessions, future SAT attempts. So if you want to take a screenshot, you can do it now. This information is also there on our website. Now, I mentioned that we have a digital platform which we provide access to. So this is what the platform looks like when you log in. I had mentioned we had divided SAT into 11 topics. So linear equation, there are 3 tests, linear inequalities, 3 tests, equivalent expressions, 3 tests, and so on. 11 topics, 3 tests each. Likewise, there are 11 topics in English and 3 tests each. So a lot of SAT is about practice. The questions are not very difficult. They are designed to be solved by students in 11th, 12th, 10th grade. Of course, they look difficult because there are so many of them. Sometimes they look difficult because the wording is a bit confusing. But if you have enough practice, they will be a lot less scary, let me assure you. We provide a total of 10 adaptive mock tests on our platform. I mentioned that the SAT is an adaptive test. So when you appear for our mock tests, you get the same feel. You do well in section 1, you will get a more difficult section 2. It gives you a better idea of what to expect and so on. And these tests, their timings, everything is very similar to the actual exam. What we provide in addition to these mock tests is a detailed report at the end of each mock. Now, let me take a moment to share the kind of analytics that we provide. So this is the report for one of our students. Let's call him John Doe. So this student appeared for a mock test and scored 1230 out of 1600 in all. We can see that, okay. And we can see the sectional score in English and math as well. Now, let's look at the topic summary. So when I look at the topic summary, I can see that the student did well in certain topics, got 100%, but also did poorly in transitions and words in context. There are multiple mistakes here. 3 mistakes here, 2 mistakes here, 3 mistakes in command of evidence. So this analysis gives us a very clear idea of which are the topics where the student needs to put in extra effort. And we have something similar for math as well. We can very clearly see which are the topics where the student needs to put in extra effort. Area and volume, there are 2 mistakes. Linear equations in 2 variables, there are 2 mistakes as well. So clearly these are topics where the student has to focus. Likewise, in inference and sampling, there is something that needs to be looked at too. So this is the first part. I know which topics I'm weak in. I can try and focus on those to improve my score. Is there something else that I can also get? So we provide that. Now, this is a time chart of the student's SAT attempt. On this axis, we have the time taken by the student in seconds, and this is the question number. So what this tells us is this is 100 seconds, 200 seconds, and so on. I had mentioned you have 75 seconds for each English question and roughly 90 seconds for each math question. So I can see that the student took extra time on a number of questions. And as a result, it is likely that in many questions, the student wasn't able to devote enough time. This is a trap. I said in the beginning, you have 75 seconds per question. Some questions will take a little extra time, some will be done quickly. But if a question looks like it's going to take a total of 3.5 minutes, it's a very bad choice. You should drop it, complete the test, and come back to it if you have the time. In math section, we see a slightly different analysis. So math section starts here and it ends here, the section 1. And we see that the student spent 10 minutes on the last question. Now, obviously, she did not spend 10 minutes solving the last question. What happened was that she was able to complete the section on time and she had 10 minutes left or 8 minutes left. So that tells us 2 things. One, that this student, and the same thing happened in section 2 as well. So what this tells us is that in this particular student's case, she will be able to complete the math sections on time. So one, she should definitely mark questions for review and come back and revisit them because she will be able to do that. Two, she should not spend if she has 8 extra minutes, she should not spend them just staring at the screen. She can actually go back and review the questions that she had marked during the test so that she can make better choices or change her choices if she wants to in the test that she just took. We provide other analytics which give things like difficulty of questions, which you go accuracy by difficulty and so on. So in this particular student's case, we see she got 2 of the easy questions wrong, which means that these are most likely mistakes that came out of carelessness or haste. These are not mistakes that came out of a lack of understanding, because in medium and hard question, the accuracy score is much higher. So I think being more attentive is definitely one feedback that I will have for this student. We have created similar graphics for English analysis by topic. So what you see over here is this is the time that the student took on an average in words in context questions. This is the time that all the students on an average have taken on that question. So wherever there is a divergence between the two, that is one thing which the student needs to be mindful of. So I can see that in form structure and sense, the student actually took a lot less time compared to the average student, the average student who has passed through a program. And chances are that this has been because the student did not have enough time for those questions, because if on an average students are taking 40 seconds and she did it in 10, then there is a problem. In inferences, the student took a lot of extra time. In command of evidence, the student took a lot of extra time. So again, I need more practice in these 2 topics. And if I'm consistently taking more time on a topic, then during the test, I should be mindful of those topics. And if a question looks like it's going to take a long time, I should mark it for review and move on. We have a similar graph for time for math as well. And again, looking at it gives us similar insights about how to best manage my time during the exam. So that really is the thing about SAT. You have to understand the topics, one. You also have to strategize and manage your time properly during the test as well. So how does our program work? Well, let's say that you sign up for our program. On the is that we will get you to log into our portal and appear for a mock test, a diagnostic test. And this test is followed by a full in-depth review. We will generate the kind of report that you just saw for your test attempt. And the English and math instructors will go through that report with you and your parents and to identify the strengths and weaknesses that you have. There are particular topics you are strong in, excellent. There are particular topics where you need effort. We will identify those, and we will also discuss tips on time management. We have 16 sessions each for English and math, and these are held in weekly classes. These are 90-minute classes, one for English, one for math. There are 11 topics each for both the subjects, and there are exercises during and after each class that you have to complete. Every 4th session is going to be for review and doubts. So we have covered 3 sessions. 4th session is going to be a session where doubts are looked at, and you can bring any problems that you have to the instructors. At week 5 and week 12, we generate a full-length a progress report for the student, which looks at their attendance, which looks at the exercises they have done, the mock tests they have attempted, which is then followed by a parent-teacher meeting. And this is so that the parents as well as the student have a clear idea of how they are progressing along the program. Apart from all of these classes, we organize regular mock tests. I have already shown you that we have 10 mock tests which are there on our platform. After attempting each mock test, you will get a detailed performance report from our side, which allows you to fine-tune your presentation, preparation. Second part is that for 3 mock tests, we will provide a detailed review by the instructors, and there will be a strategy session to discuss your performance together with your parents if you wish to, and which will have which will have specific tips tailored for your preparation. We provide bonus material. We already have a lot of theory and examples on our platform. In addition, we have created printed books with additional material, more theory, more examples, and more exercises. And we provide additionally in the last strategy sessions, we attempt some of the more difficult questions of SAT so that you are not flustered or flummoxed by something new or different that has come. We also provide support for future SAT attempts. I already mentioned that most of our students appear for SAT more than once. So even after you have completed the program, we will still provide you 2 one-on-one strategy sessions for English and for math, so that if you have any doubts, if you have any queries, you can bring them to us. And you get access to our portal for a full year. So with that, I would like to hand it over back to my colleague Abhishek.
Thank you so much, Amit. So students and parents, now that you see on the screen and the SAT batch or the Achievers plan that Amit talked about. So we are starting with a new batch. So any of you who are interested in joining that batch and who are targeting the SAT in 2026 are most welcome to get in touch with us. The classes of this batch will be conducted every Monday and every Wednesday. The timings both of these days will be 6 to 7:30. So it will be a 1.5 hour class on each of the days. So as you see on Mondays, we will be conducting the math class and the English class will be conducted every Wednesday. The new batch is starting from December 1st. So my colleague Suchita will share our details. Anyone who is interested, want to know more about the batch or anything, you can get in touch with us. Also, before we move to the Q&A, also to all the attendees who are here, we would be, as part of our commitment, we would be sharing a free vocabulary list with all of you. So this will help you in your, I would say, building your vocabulary, learning new words. So this is completely free of cost. So please drop in or fill the form so that we can send it through email to you, all of you. With this, we open the Q&A. So any questions related to SAT, preparation, math, English, or even our program details, we are here. Amit and I are here. So please feel free to drop your question in the chat or in the Q&A section. Okay. Okay, so we have the first question asked by Nimisha. What happens if I miss a lecture? So Amit, would you like to answer that question?
So we record all the 11 topics that we cover are recorded. If you miss a particular lecture, you can watch the recording of that particular session, and that library is shared with all our students. And depending on schedule of other classes, if you want to sit for that particular lecture for another batch, you can do that, but that will depend purely on availability. Ideally, I would recommend do not miss a lecture, but if you do for an unavoidable reason, watch the recording, attempt the exercise, and attend the next lecture as well.
Okay, thank you, Amit. Next question is asked by Atishay. How much improvement can I expect if I join this program?
Okay, so that will depend on how diligently you attend your classes, attempt the exercises, mocks, and apply what we teach you. In our experience, though, from the time you appear for the first diagnostic test to, let's say, 4 or 5 months later when you appear for the final exam, we have seen an improvement of 200 to 250 points that can easily take place. So, say for a student who scored a 1100 in the first in the diagnostic test, I think 1300 to 1350 is the realistic improvement I can expect if the student does all the things that we want them to work on.
Okay. So the next question is, can I get support if I need to retake the SAT?
Yes. So supposing you start with the December program, you appear for the SAT in March, your May, your classes get over in March or April. Supposing you decide that you want to improve your score in one of the sections and you want to appear for the SAT again in August. So we encourage you to reach out to our instructors. If there are specific topics where you have a doubt, you can bring those doubts. We provide 2 sessions each for English and math with both the instructors. Or if you want to look at a specific strategy or a planning, you can do that as well. And you will have access to our portal for 1 year from the date of signing. So you can continue to attempt the exercises and the mock tests as well.
Okay, thank you, Amit. So the next question is, how do universities check for the SAT super score?
So you have to report your score, and the universities can also get the information from College Board. So you should report your results accurately and completely and correctly always. These are numbers that College Board runs a very trusted program, and the entire education system runs on this trust. So universities check your score with College Board. If for some reason somebody reports an incorrect score, that may result in severe penalties.
Okay, thank you for sharing that insight, Amit. And one thing that Amit did not cover was, yes, I mean, because there are a lot of students, sometimes parents also reach out to us, asking support in, registering for the SAT test as well. So yes, we do also provide that support. I mean, that's part of the program. We will also help you, identify which SAT attempt you should be giving based on your uh, score, based on the score that you're targeting or the universities you're targeting. So yes, that's also included. So in short, it's a complete end-to-end support that we provide for SAT. Okay, so any further questions, please feel free to ask. All right. So I don't see any further questions. So you have our contact details. You can see on the screen, also on the chat. So please do fill out the form so that we can share the vocabulary list that I mentioned. And anything further you would like to add, Amit?
So yeah, you have our email and you have our WhatsApp. You can write to us on either of those if you have any additional queries about the test itself or any clarifications about our program. So any questions that you have about the class structure, class size, batch size, anything, we'll be happy to take it there as well.
Yes. And just a reminder that the first class will start from December 1st, which is a Monday. So approximately a week's time from now. So yeah, feel free to get in touch or register if you're interested to join. So with this, we come to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much, Amit, for this session. I hope it was informative for all our audience. And thank you so much, everyone, students, parents. I also see school counselors who have joined. So thank you so much for joining and wish you all the best for your preparation and wish you a happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being here and for being such a patient audience.